Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next LYNK event. I'm glad that I see a lot of familiar faces already streaming. So today, I'm going to do a brief introduction about myself, as I always do, because you never know who is coming. So my name is Juan. I'm the co-founder of AARHUSMAKERS, and I'm here today introducing the second session of LYNK. Today I'm going to interview a fantastic human being, Mathieu Durand, who is the the founder of Dystopian Creatives, an animation studio here based in Aarhus. Mathieu is originally from France, but I'll let him introduce himself in a little while. So today he's going to show us a little bit of the process behind the scenes when it comes to animation. He's going to talk about his passion, which is obviously movies, films, and animation as well. And then we will have a chat about life AC after Corona. So that's what's going to happen today. What else? So, in case you don't know Aarhus Makers is an organization that has been live for 2 years. It was founded 2 years ago. The whole idea of Aarhus Makers is basically to bring up the underground culture of Aarhus. Obviously, during these times of Corona, it's even more vital to have the artists to speak about their art, to expose them to the public. So culture is never dead, quite the contrary, it's live. And the whole idea of LYNK is basically to run a series of sessions where we talk to different artists from different disciplines, introduce their art so they can get not only exposure, which is a kind of tainted kind of word, but also in the future to connect with them in the real life. In case of Mathieu, I met him before. Like I said, he's a good friend. But in case of other artists that I've been talking to, I never met them before, which is quite original, if you like. So I'm looking forward for this period to end, and hopefully everybody that is watching today will be safe and sound by the end of this, and then connect over a beer further down the line. Without further delay, I just want to give a shout out to Attitude Apotheket, and I'm sorry about my pronunciation, it's horrible. The intro that you have seen at the beginning, and I will plug at the end of this session, has been created by them. Is to showcase basically the fantastic work that they have been doing with us. Attitude Apotheket is a studio also based in Aarhus. They are probably the most creative agency that I can think of, currently working in Aarhus. So I'll put a link back in the comments so you can follow them and follow their work further down the line. But if not, obviously you can also visit AARHUSMAKERS.com, where they have put a ton of effort working with us. So yeah, I think it's time to talk to the man himself. So I'm gonna welcome Mathieu. Mathieu, you are live now.
All
Welcome to the
right.
party. Thank you very much for being with us today. And I
Thanks
hope
for having
that
me on.
I'm looking forward to see the stuff that you have been putting together. It's super exciting. I just saw a sneak peek while we were talking, preparing for this session. And then basically just, introduce yourself, my friend. Tell us where you come from. How long have you been here? What do you do from 9 to 5 and also outside the 9 to 5? That kind of stuff. Let's start with that.
Yeah, well, from the 9 to 5 and everything, it's kind of blending, right? Because we tend to stay at home right now, so it's kind of blending. And 9 to 5 becomes 9 to 11, becomes 2 to 7, etc., etc. So it's kind of anyway. My name is Mathieu. I'm from France. I've been in Denmark for I stopped counting now. It's like I'm too old now. It's like 8 or 9 years. I think maybe
my
9 years. So I'm doing motion graphics, motion design, animations, short films, commercial projects, you name it. All sorts of, when it's moving, when it's animated, that's kind of my jam. That's kind of what I like to do. I've been studying animation and 3D in France, in the southern France, for 4 years.
Can I ask where in France are you from? Or is it?
Yeah, so I'm from Annecy. That is a world famous city for animation. there's a big animation festival there. That's kind of like feature and TV network, and it's basically like big money kind of festival. It's not indie, or it's not, there is also like indie short films and smaller stuff. There is pretty much everything, but the ham and bread of the festival, it's kind of like you go there, you have an idea, you pitch it, you want it to be a show for TV or now for like Netflix or any kind of network. You go, you pitch it, and basically you pitch it to many different networks.
Is it a public festival or is it a private initiative?
No, it's well, it's
a mix. It's a mix, probably.
No, I think it's public. I think it's public. Okay. It's supported by the region, and then of course you pay your accreditation. If you are a network, you probably pay for like a stand. You probably pay for like, all sorts of accommodations. But that's where I'm from. And then I moved to the southern France to study. Terrible mistake. It's just it's not. It's just very hard to study in a nice city like that. It was in Montpellier.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
It's hard to study when you can just go to the beach at any point, the whole year long, basically. Like, it's just really good weather. But it was good 4 years. I learned quite a lot, but really, it's nothing compared to what I've learned starting, working in a studio when I moved to Denmark. And I moved to Denmark in 2011. I worked in a studio for 6 years or so, called Film. They're still up. They're still good, doing some really cool stuff. And 2 years ago, 2 years ago, in January 2018, I kind of said goodbye. Had good 6 years. That felt like, okay, I felt like I've done it kind of at this place.
Yeah.
Then I moved on and started my own studio. Freelance, still freelance, but the goal is kind of like to grow a little bit more than just one person. But I take it step by step, really. That's
of course. Yeah.
We'll see.
So you're now freelancing. You have some interesting clients coming, working with you. So can I ask you also, what are your influences in terms of what you do? Because everybody has influences, I guess. So what is it, the stuff that moves you and inspires you to do what you do?
I think if I had to pin down like maybe a few, that would be I'd say like handcraft. Something that I can feel is not that there is like a human intention behind any kind of creation forms. It's like as soon as I can feel that it's being too much done by the computer, I'm kind of like backing off, and I'm pulled away from it. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's kind of so that would be like a first influence. Like the influence in my work, I'd say, is like trying to make it look as personal and as human as possible. Right. Because it's quite easy to do animations on the computer, and then the computer just takes care of some of it. It looks sometimes very like, call it like very linear, or very like. So I'd say handcraft, and then if more like aesthetic. I'm trying to get influenced by many things, but having a mom coming from Morocco and all this heritage, Jewish religion heritage and symbolism and all that kind of good stuff, then I'm trying to put that in as well, a little bit more recently, especially.
Cool.
And then I can't help myself but like Japanese culture for some reason. I've never been there. Yeah, but I've never been there. I don't know why I kind of know why I'm.
You've never been there? Oh my God! I visited twice in 2008 and 2012, and I can't even imagine what is it now. It has to be absolutely amazing. One of the most meaningful and impactful countries I ever visited in my life. It's a different planet. That's how I consider it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? But would you be living there? Would you
I
be
don't know
staying?
because the one thing that I don't necessarily comply with is their work culture.
Yeah,
So they basically is too much to me, and I appreciate what we have here in Denmark, the work-life balance. I will argue that as a freelancer that changed obviously, but other than that, I wouldn't mind to be there for a couple of years, experimenting as many things as possible, basically. And the food, oh my! I was
yeah.
going to swear right there. I'm not gonna do that.
Well, it's not allowed to swear on
I don't know. I don't
Or you
know.
were
You
getting
never
cut
know who's
off or
watching.
something.
Anyway, I interrupted. I interjected. But
No,
Japanese culture obviously has an influence on you. And if you were going to mention a couple of directors or creatives that you have been following, then who would that be in terms of?
yeah, but you put me on the spot.
Oh, sorry, man.
No, but that's fine. It's just I'm terrible with names.
Yeah.
Maybe I can talk about movies. Like recently, one that really um, well, recently, no, it's been a year that I watched it, but it's Under My Skin with Scarlett Johansson.
Fantastic.
Forgot the name of the director. But I think this movie really like had a huge impact on my creative, I would say like fuel, or because right after the movie, that was long time ago actually, maybe 2 years ago. Right after the movie, I just got stuck with this image in my head of this. Well, there is a moment where it's just a very completely pitch black environment, and Scarlett Johansson is just there, and there is just a reflection of her in the water. Kind of a way better version of the Stranger Things.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Just better, because there is Scarlett in it.
True that, yeah.
No, but I just got this image in my head just constantly, and that was, I think, one of the first image of Altered, the short film that I did. I think that could have been one of the first image that I ever did for the film. So that's how much it impacted my my creative brain, kind of, I'd say, like the fuel. Or else recently I started watching Kingdom on Netflix.
Oh, interesting.
It's a Chinese kind of medieval China, where, yeah, I don't want to spoil it. So it's just medieval China. It's beautiful. The sets are beautiful. All the costumes, the photography is apparently, I think a friend of mine, Simon, told me that it's only natural light, which is really, really pretty.
The shuttlecraft, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I would say like the two main kind of entertainment movies and stuff that influenced me recently.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
then of course Instagram.
Yeah, okay. Of course, yeah. And then in terms of, because obviously when you work as an animator, you have to also consider music. You have to consider so many things. It's unbelievable. So in terms of music, what kind of things are influencing you, or what do you listen to? If that makes sense, that is in the back of your mind.
Yeah. Well, I think it's two different things, because I'm not a big fan of making the music for my own animations. If I need to, for some clients, I would do it, but it's mostly like commercial projects. But if it's something that's where I know I'm going to be directing the picture or making the visuals, then I want someone else's brain to kind of be triggered by the visuals as well, and create something that's not mine, that's, bring some extra people, because I have a tendency to kind of work mostly alone for the most part. Depends for my passion projects. I mean,
Right. Okay.
So it's just so fucking amazing to have. I swear, sorry.
No,
it's just so amazing to have, made the visuals, and you're still making them, and then you send this video to someone else. And they just come up with something from their brain, some music from their mind.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've never had like a really bad result. It's always like, what? Wow, that's amazing. I would never have thought of putting something like that together. And then you start to be an annoying director and say like, I like this part. Can you change that? But can you move this? And yeah, to the sound designer. But most parts is just really, really cool. The short film that I did called Altered, a guy called Tom O'Sullivan did the music, and I never met him.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh.
I just saw him like maybe twice on, through Skype. Otherwise, I never met the guy.
Okay.
So yeah, that's really cool. It can work.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks God we have internet, anyways. Yeah. Okay. And there is a question from Mr. Dan Blatko-Vasnianu, and he's asking,
Hey, Dan.
what is the most overrated virtue or skill of a creative?
Most overrated what?
Virtue or skill, if you like, in a creative. Yeah.
In a creative? Fucking.
He put you on the spot, man.
Oh no! But I have a perfect answer.
Okay,
I have an answer for that. Originality.
Mm-hmm.
Like this fucking plague of originality. There's no, but you know what I mean. It's like, and not only in creative field, but I'm not gonna deviate from the main question. But I would say it's even the most like amazing artists that you've ever heard of are influenced by someone or someone's, for sure. Like Picasso or whatever, like the big names. They didn't wake up and be like, oh, I'm gonna invent Cubism because that's just I want to draw some funny shapes now. No, they kind of bounced between each other, got influenced by other artists. Yeah, definitely.
Is that saying, like still like an artist, get the most out of everybody and mix it up. Yeah.
Have you read the book? By
I have.
MacLeod. Yeah, that's a great book. It's very easy to read. But I would say originality. And I fell into the same trap when I started doing my work. I was kind of wanting to do my own like super cool projects from scratch. It's really hard. So then I went to the second phase that is like completely stealing. And that was also not good because that's copying. Yeah. So it's kind of like that. And now I think I'm finally a little bit into that third phase where I'm like stealing in a good way. Like I'm kind of stealing a bunch of stuff that I like from different things and then combining them to create something new. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So we are 20 minutes in, and I think so as what you got, no? Like you are talking and bragging and talking a lot of things here.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so what are you going to show us today?
I wanted to start, so you can see my screen, right?
I'm going to do that now.
I wanted to start with something that's kind of that we don't see so much usually, and that's kind of like an actual client project. And I got the client to approve like me showing all sorts of stuff right now, so that's cool. I removed their logos and stuff, but basically, like I would start and I would get like a creative brief or some kind of idea, or like maybe just a paragraph from the client. Like we would like to have this, to have that. So this is for like a documentary on the construction of a train track that connects France to Switzerland. Okay. So it's like a really, really heavy construction and a lot of tunnels and a lot of people involved, and that's kind of like a 55 minutes feature documentary on that. So the idea was like we have this intro and we want to feel that things are getting connected, and we want to feel like this kind of like passing light when we're in a train, and there was a lot of like beautiful image like that they had in their mind. And so what I came up with, And that's basically what I would send to a client. I'm just gonna throw that away. That's what I would send to a client. Kind of a PDF with multiple like examples and idea for them to pick in.
So this is like the mock-up or the general mood of what you're gonna put together, no? Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes call that style frames. You call that
okay.
Yeah, style frames.
Style frames. Okay.
So I would send the client some proposition, like either more or less technologic. Do you want more red, more lines? Started adding a little bit of numbers and stuff. Same for this shot in the tunnel.
Oh, like that is super cool.
To get like the idea was really to have something that's connecting. And the idea of like, they've been building this thing for a long time now. And it's finally getting to a point where people are going to be able to use this train to connect people, connect everything. So then I was trying different types, different stuff. And eventually they would kind of be like, oh yeah, we like that. We like this part. We like this part. And so I would start working on it. I will see if I can find an animation. Oh, I'm opening Slack at the same time. Bye-bye. And let's see if I can find something cool to show. Yeah. So it would be like, then I would start working on the shots and animating the different stuff.
Oh, very cool.
So you'd have, this first pass of technology and lines and connection with each other, etc., etc.
Can I ask you what I am assuming is a very stupid question, but I'll go ahead. So for each frame that you put together for the animation, I suppose it changes and varies between project and project, but how long does it take you to, for example, in this scene that we were seeing in the bridge, will it take you to move from frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, and so on and so forth?
That's these ones are not being drawn manually.
Okay.
So I can show you after that. So it's kind of, I can't really answer like how long it takes per frame.
Yeah. Okay.
It's rather like this client, they had a budget. They had or we agreed on a certain time that I was about to work on it.
Yeah.
And then it's up to me to kind of fit everything in.
Okay.
And so then I know, like, this is going to take me that long. This is going to take me that long. Also, a big part of that project was this map in 3D that is being used all through the film to show the different stations and the different construction sites. And same principle. With the client, we kind of went through different styles and we ended up agreeing on one style. But what's really interesting is that they can come and comment with, is it this one? Yeah. So I had this very red first version. That was kind of using the red that they have in their logo and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then the client came and said, like, very good point as well. Said, that kind of looked like a piece of meat, like I guess
it's a steak.
like,
Okay.
That's true. And then it's this kind of thing, like when you hear it once, you can't unhear it.
Yeah.
Like it's now I can only see the piece of meat.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I ended up doing is like adding the blue for the lake, famous lake in Switzerland called the Léman Lake. So I added the blue, I added made the red a little bit less crazy. But all that to say, like it's kind of basically the process that I feel the most confident with doing, and also that apparently the client appreciate the most, where I would work on something and then send them something, a version, and comment one time, and then I'll fix it, and then that's it, deliver.
Wow. Okay.
one of the many issues sometimes, of course, is too many cooks in one kitchen. You know, this kind of principle where you might do a project and then at some point someone is going to come and be like, yeah, but can we change the whole thing?
Yeah, great.
Because I showed it to my daughter and she doesn't like it. And eventually this person is like the CEO. You know what I mean? But that's kind of like a snapshot of like the process that I would go through. So that's like client stuff. That's the bread and butter of my.
Can I ask you then, more or less, so your clientele, your customer base, is it international? Is it based in Aarhus, Denmark? Do you have a specific set of demographics?
I think most of the things that I'm doing is in Denmark. I'd say like 75% of what I'm doing is in Denmark. But on the 30-25%. So for instance, this client is in Switzerland. I worked for some people in France a couple of times, the UK as well, London. But I'm kind of, I know that eventually, especially now with these crazy days and confinement and everything, I'm not really concerned of where, but it's kind of good to know that I can do my job for basically any country in the world.
Yeah, it's like the proof of concept, basically.
Yeah. I worked for. It can be sometimes a little tricky, but I worked for clients in the US. And that's tricky, but at the same time, it's really, really cool because they give you a brief basically when they go to bed. And
they have like 9 hours to work on it during the day or something. Yeah.
And I have night at work. They wake up and then they can see the work that I've done. And it's basically like for them, they have an 17 hours day of production. So they can really maximize the thing. But of course, for communication, it's pretty hard.
Right.
Because when I'm at the end of my day, they wake up and that's basically in this time frame that I can ask them questions.
And I suppose in case of maybe there are some people in the group that are curious about how do you go about getting your clients. I think that's the most important thing when it comes to freelancing. So do you normally look for projects or talk to brands that you're interested in, or is the other way around where you have built a certain level of reputation and then the projects come in, which is the ideal scenario, I will imagine.
Yeah. I'd say I would divide that in two. My first year, that was very much me going out to get the projects and kind of like, talking to as many people as possible. I haven't done that much in the second year. And
so things are taking place basically. So if you are not doing that much,
yeah, but I still do this like cold emails. I did that last year, third or fourth quarter of last year, because I was kind of planning on like, I don't have so much work now, the back burner, so it's time to reach out. And I did the opposite that I did when I started. When I started, I was like, okay, let's reach out to the whole world. Which is cool, and it worked maybe once or twice. But like I don't know how many emails I sent. So this time I did like local in Aarhus, and there's that. There is also organizing meetups with other artists. Meeting you, of course, meeting you, meeting AARHUSMAKERS. I've done like a meetup with other motion designers. Maybe they're on the chat, maybe not. But that was really cool because you end up meeting people and it removes this pressure of like, like meeting people in their office or in your office, and you this feeling that there's an obligation to show or do or say something.
Right.
This was just very relaxed, and of course we ended up like showing each other's works because that's what we do and we like doing that. So And yeah,
There is a
if it,
question that is somewhat related to this. So, Leon is asking, what do you
oh yeah.
enjoy about Danish entertainment industry, and what kind of thing are you missing in other countries, areas, and what do you see in the future here? It's actually three questions.
Yeah, so the first one, what do I see in the Danish culture,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
the Danish entertainment industry that you are
Oh,
missing.
entertaining industry. Okay. It's it's hard. Honestly, I don't think there is a, or at least I'm not so much into the Danish entertaining industry. I'm not watching a lot of Danish shows or, but that's again like it's kind of getting so international that I'm watching. You see, I was talking about like a Chinese TV series
Right.
on Netflix, you know. So, yeah, I don't think about it so much. The Danish, I, of course, I see it because I work in it. So the clients and the projects that I'm getting, are, you know, I can see what they are. They're not, they're not extremely sometimes creative. They're not very creative, but again, like it's, I have sometimes to dissociate what I would love to do,
And what you have to do. Yeah.
yeah, but or what is required from me, because at the end of the day, I'm still a service. You know, I'm a service.
Yeah.
People hire me and pay me to do an animation for them or
Right.
direct a short spot. But that took me a long time to learn as well, and that's kind of, it doesn't mean that I'm like abandoning my dreams or that I'm not doing what I want anymore. It just means that I'm trying to separate it a little bit more than I did in the past, where every project was like, that's my baby. You know, it's like, I have to make it the best possible. And then you end up very frustrated because, again, you are a service at the end of the day. That's how I see myself sometimes. Second question was about where it's going to lead, or what? No,
Yeah. So, how do you see basically the future of entertainment, the Danish entertainment industry? But somehow you more or less have defined that in the first answer. Cool.
I think, yeah. So
That's.
just briefly, it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it
I'm
is.
meeting with some agencies. Having a meeting next week, and they are really open to all the different ideas that I come with. So that's really, really
Fantastic.
It's going the right way. And Leon, thank you for the nice question. It's going to be my intern for a few months. Yeah, 4 or 5 months towards the end of this year. So
fantastic. Good luck, Leon. All right, I'll pass the ball again for the screen, so you can continue if you want to.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, so then we're gonna maybe talk a little bit about a passion project of mine called Aleph. And this project went through a lot of different phases, and I'm gonna try not to scatter too much, but I'm gonna try to show you the different phases that he went through. So first, maybe we can watch this one with the sound, and you will also be able to see like a work in progress file that's really ugly. But I guess that's interesting. And you will tell me if you hear the sound from my computer or not.
I don't think so. But,
No. Okay. Well, then maybe we're going.
I suppose if you unplug the headphones, that might work, but it might sound a little bit off. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't even have speakers on my computer. Okay. It's all in the headphones. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The idea with this project is I wanted to kind of capture kind of a memory that I had, and a really like memorable moment that I went through when I visited the memorial of the Shoah in Prague. And they have this really beautiful kind of small room where you enter, and there's like names everywhere on the walls, and these names are of course the victims of the Shoah, the mass murder during the Second World War. So just having these names everywhere around me was completely insane and completely extraordinary. You know, it's like, I don't think I felt something like that before. So I wanted to capture that. Wanted to capture this feeling. Wanted to talk a little bit about my my childhood, maybe in it, the childhood of my mom. So that's how it started. And I put up together like a few shots that I thought were interesting for the story. So behind it is this woman that that is kind of fighting what's happening to her and her country and maybe her people. And she's reliving the life that maybe she didn't have because of these people. So she goes through these like very short clips of flashbacks, and then her memory starts mixing it up with more abstract things. And it's more, again, like I would define my work very much like kind of evoking feelings more than telling a very definite story. Because I'm a big advocate to less is more, in a sense. Like, if you look at an abstract painting, or if you look at, a very realistic painting, you probably don't have the same feeling. So at first I was kind of going through these different shots. Then I was not very happy with the style that it turned out with. Oh, what's that? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm hearing like a beep in my headphones. Anyway, so I changed the style and ended up with something that was a bit more like close to what I like to do, which is more like textured and more hand-drawn and more, just a bit more, I would say, again, like a bit more vibrant, a bit more colorful maybe. Simple at the same time, I don't know. But I ended up with these like kind of clips put together. So that's where I took the next turn again, and I was like, maybe let's not do completely abstract stuff.
Can I ask you one question about the symbols that appear at the beginning of the clip? Is this based on any specific language, or?
Yeah, those are old Berber. That's like Morocco.
Yeah, okay.
Old Berber symbols. Actually, I'm going to show you the different ones there. So these are just the letters, and then there are a few that are actually meaningful. So this part is in French, but for instance, this one over there I used in a previous animation. It's a symbol for an axe.
Okay. Like it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
So it's, and I love the fact that it has a double meaning. It symbolizes anger, of course, and destruction.
Right.
An axe, right? But it's also a tool to attack evil forces. So you can protect yourself with that symbol. And I really enjoy, I think it's so interesting to have this duality in general. I mean, we are completely multifaceted people. It's not like you're not going to meet, I'm not going to be like, oh, Juan, it's the happy Spanish guy. And that's it. No, because there are some days where you're sad, there's some days where you're melancholic, and some days where you're angry, and some days. So I was trying, anyway, again, I'm kind of like going all over the place.
You're digressing? That's okay.
So that's kind of like this page as well. I'm using that as like a mood board. kind of
Do you
using it.
do you use what's the app? What kind of toolbox do you have other than obviously? Yeah, let's talk about your toolbox actually. Yeah, I think
My
that would be
toolbox.
interesting.
So yeah, this is Arena. That's like a website. Sorry, it's kind of Pinterest, I guess.
Right.
Except I'm not really seeing anything from other people. It's just a place where you can put all sorts of stuff.
It's more your personal stuff, basically.
Yeah, totally. So I would use that for references and just like putting them there. Then all the Adobe Suite, Photoshop. Oh yeah, I also have opened like the 3D stuff that we saw earlier of the.
It looks like the Matrix to me, to be honest.
But that's called Cinema 4D, and that's for 3D actually, completely for 3D. So I can move the camera around stuff, and so that's like the computer generated imagery. And then when you go in Photoshop, even though it's still on the computer, I would consider that handmade or man-made or not computer generated. I think those are my tools.
Cool.
So Aleph, the short film, went through a bunch of different stuff, changed the style, and then recently I've been trying a new kind of a new approach where I used motion capture. Do you know what motion capture is? Yeah.
I know of the name. That's it.
So let's see if I can find. Maybe it's this one. Oh no, this is just a model. Let me just find the good stuff again. Where did I put it? Well, if I don't find it now. Oh yeah, maybe it's there. No. Well, you're gonna have to believe me on this one.
I don't know about that.
I can show you actually. I can show you this one. So, oh my God, we show nudity. But motion capture, it's basically recorded animation that's has been recorded on someone that's wearing a specific suit.
Oh yeah, okay, gotcha.
They put it in the 3D on the 3D model that's rigged with all sorts of muscles and stuff, and then you have it in your 3D software. So that's what I used as a base to kind of come and draw on it, where I can show you how it looks. So I placed the camera somewhere, and then I started drawing over it because I'm terrible at character animation.
Right. Okay.
I'm really not good. So you give me a pen and paper, I can't draw that from scratch. I'll be like spending too much time, and it will look like shit. And so I was like, okay, let's try to use what I know a little bit, which is 3D, and kind of use it to create something that's not 3D, that's not completely computer generated.
Okay.
And then you start stacking up stuff. Start having maybe a layer of smoke or like dust. Then I think I drew some black lines, kind of shadows on that dust. And that was kind of what you were referring to, this frame by frame thing.
Right, okay.
That's frame by frame. That's kind of like, yeah, that takes a bit longer sometimes.
So layering.
Layering.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where the film is right now. This loop, that's my proof of concept. That's kind of, I'm trying to keep track of how long it takes to do it. But I've recorded my screen a couple of times just also to keep track and make content. So you have like, I can show you accelerated version. I think it's like 25 times faster or something like that.
Okay.
And that's where I think I would like, that's why I like to take the.
So cool to see it in the packaging.
Yeah. I wish I could work at that speed. But that's what I really enjoy doing, kind of using all sorts of capabilities from the tools and from the software, and using them for my advantage, basically. Like, just, okay, well, what's the best way of doing that thing? Then let's combine it with this next step and create something that's completely new. Maybe I'll skip all that stuff. But basically, like, I would do the line drawing. It's called line drawing. That's just a line, and then you'd start filling the shapes to create the different color passes. So yeah, she's got black hair. She's got a red kind of coat thing, kind of a dark skin, and yeah. So that would take, I think, a couple of hours. Then animating the smoke also took a couple of hours that I can just skip forward, right? But it's the same principle. You would kind of draw using the previous drawing and the next drawing and in between to kind of have a relatively fluid movement between the frames. So you can see the different stuff. And finally, I also tried a background as well. I'm also terrible at perspective drawing and stuff like that, but just practicing is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't it like 10,000 hours of practice makes you a master? Yeah. I can't remember the quote exactly, but that's what it is.
Yeah, it's 10,000 hours, right? But I don't think it's enough. Because I think I'm already at the 10,000 with some of the softwares I'm using.
Stefan Pellegrini is saying hi very enthusiastically, and he's saying that you are the best and it looks beautiful. So
Stefan is based.
You have a fan base, yeah.
Stefan is a really cool director. We are working on a short film together called King Emma.
Okay.
Maybe we'll put the link somewhere for the page.
Cool.
So we're working on a 2D animation short film like that with him.
Awesome.
Hello, Stefan. So this background, what I try to do is, and I'll open it after in Photoshop, is work a little bit differently than I used to, where I start with black and white colors and just values and see if the values work, and then start applying the colors on it after, basically. So if I can show you now in Photoshop, for instance, so I have the drawing here. I'm gonna hide the line drawing, and then with Photoshop you can use this tool and you can start coloring things. I don't know if it comes on your screen.
Yeah, it does.
So for instance, maybe a subtle like yellow light coming from the sun, and then because this film is set up probably in Morocco, there's a lot of this blue, kind of light blue in Morocco. So I would basically start and go and add colors to these different layers, and then come up with, so you can see like this doesn't make a lot of sense to have like a red, but maybe if I go more in this direction, a bit more desaturated, maybe blue. Let's try blue shadow. So it's very versatile. You can do a lot of stuff with this.
And I can feel that you can get lost on this work. You probably don't even realize the amount of hours that you are in front of this.
Totally.
Shit, it's 5 in the morning. Oh my God.
I was checking the time that I spent on just putting the videos together for this animation, for this short animation. And I was like, okay, that was 2 hours and a half that I didn't felt really. But yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to see the whole thing, actually, when I finish. Yeah. I want to be in the premiere of Aleph.
Hopefully it will be something one day. That's also the tricky part with the personal project. Is it going to be something, or am I going to drop it and do something else at some point? So start a new style, or we'll see.
Just to let you know, I'm switching to our faces. So
yeah.
Okay. So that was amazing, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan.
I learned,
Thank you for.
so me, myself, in a selfish way, I learned quite a bit today. So
It's great.
I can brag about it with my friends now. That's fantastic. And then I get to know you a little bit better. I know your process a little bit better. So that's fascinating to me.
Yeah. So,
So thank you so much. Couple of questions though, like to wrap up. We have. I'm gonna keep it in an hour so people don't get sleepy. You know, it's 9 p.m. So in terms of the typical cliche question, where do you see yourself over the next kind of 2 5 years? How do you see your art evolving, and what is the goal? What is the top goal that you have right now? Obviously, that will change and it will evolve as you move forward. But right now, it's good to dream.
right now, so where I see myself in 5 years in this exact same room because of fuck coronavirus. No, joke aside, I would love to, in 5 years, have directed one or two other short films, longer than the previous one that I did. Altered, that's like 3 minutes. So I'm kind of trying to get longer and longer and longer all the time. In a sense, that's where it's kind of like the longer, the more you can tell. So I want to tell more stuff, and I want to, yeah. I kind of need to get it out of my head.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So that's where I see myself in 5 years. A beautiful dog by my side.
Yeah. So
No, but
before we joined this Facebook session, I've been basically seeing or watching how Mathieu is scrolling down a website where you can see the pictures of dogs that you can adopt, which I think is very novel. But I didn't know that of him as well, so that was interesting.
yeah, man.
Cool. And then, so I was going to ask you basically if you could share the links maybe from your projects before, maybe a couple of links on the chat after we wrap up so people can follow. And then the last question is, I'm not last question, but last is a request. Whenever these things is over, let's go for a beer and let's talk about animation and other things.
Let's do that.
I hope it's sooner than later, to be completely honest with you.
I can also pass by your house and we can have a beer like across.
And again, super, super, super fascinating to see what I've seen today. So I hope the people that has joined us today have enjoyed the process as well.
Yeah,
Just a
I hope
couple
so
of
too.
things in terms of housekeeping. So I'm gonna post a link to LYNK. Amazing. I'm a comedian. So if anybody in the audience has or known some artistic skills that and want to be in this particular forum, please do reach out. I'll be happy to keep interviewing intelligent creatives and artists from Aarhus as much as possible. The second thing is obviously this link will be available in the Facebook page, but probably I will post this video and I will send you the video actually, Mathieu, so you can do as you please with it.
Nice.
And then please keep an eye on AARHUSMAKERS because there are a couple of more things coming up over the next couple of weeks. We have had poetry, we have had animation, we have had a very unsuccessful first streaming where there was live painting, but as you can see now, that's resolved. So I'm looking forward to promote more intelligent, creative, and amazing people, the amazing people of Aarhus. So thank you so much.
I have one question, Juan.
Yeah, of course.
For you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Probably in Aarhus. Probably in Aarhus. And obviously during this process, I understood that I want to do more creative things than I thought I needed. So I bought myself a couple of things for my toolbox that I'm experimenting with and writing for the first time in years. And I'm also trying to basically do a little bit of podcasting, which is something that I had an idea last year and I went full on, and then obviously life happens, and I was too busy to do that. And then my most recent acquired skill set is gardening. So I have cucumbers now, and I have tomatoes, and I have a lot of things in my garden, which is very nice. But yeah,
That you're preparing for the apocalypse.
yeah, my ideal goal would be to be in a position where I can do this. I can promote creativity, and I can be surrounded by people like you, and get paid for that. And I think it's doable, to be completely honest with you. Obviously, now probably is the not the most a special time to do so. I think culture in general is being completely undermined by everything that is happening.
Yeah.
I'm not going to enter into why that is happening, or not going to enter in political arguments, but obviously culture has been put into the back of our lives, whereas everybody needs to consume culture. That makes us better. So if I'm in a position in 5, 10 years, whatever, in 2 years or whatever, where I can do this and keep promoting special intelligent people and creative people, I would be delighted. So that would be my ultimate goal, and I can do that with my own means. I'm a photographer, but I don't want to do that for a living. I want to do my photography because I feel passionate about it. However,
Yeah.
I can do this. I think I can. I can basically manage a collective of people and put them forward in front of clients and specific projects. So that will be my goal. But we'll see.
Sounds like a good goal.
Yeah.
Don't you think that the culture being like put aside, as you say, it's kind of like a pressure cooker where you're gonna, when people are gonna start going out again, and it's gonna be like multiplied tenfold, like
I
multiplied. People are gonna want more and gonna go out more, and they're gonna see more.
I
But
think so.
locally,
Yeah, I think there is an element of being local, and I think there is an element of obviously being completely restrained to on a screen where you have to consume culture. I mean, you can create your own culture at home, and you can paint, you can write, you can do all these things. But yeah, absolutely, I think it's gonna be the day that they kind of open up a little bit further, and you can go to a gallery, a museum, and touch physical space. I think that's gonna be obviously unbelievable. But yeah, it's just, I think two things have happened. People have noticed that the health system is not only fundamental, but it has to get even more funding than and thankfully we're in Denmark. Because if I speak about my own country, things are slightly different. And then culture. I don't think people have realized that an artist like you has to get paid to do what they do, and the time that is behind the scenes. So that's what I'm trying to demonstrate. So putting a painting in front of you is not the painting in itself; it's the process, the thought process, the influences, the technique in order to do a stroke, and so on and so forth. Same thing that you have been demonstrated today. And that has to be, has to accumulate for something. It's time, and for me, that's the currency. So if you are investing an unbelievable amount of time in a piece of art, that has to be, funded somehow. So yeah, and that's it.
amen. Yeah.
Amen. All right.
Thanks for having me,
It's
Juan.
been awesome.
That was really, really cool.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. It's been a pleasure. Love you, man. And everybody else, love you too. Hope to see you soon. Join up. I'll post the link right now. And please stay tuned. Take care and be safe. Thank you, folks.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.